Hello everyone, welcome to our channel BISP Solution. Now let's start our today's session. So this is our today's agenda where we will cover the AR related setups. AR is nothing but a account receivable, and later on we will cover the P2P cycle. We will see all the functionality and all the setups, and you can say the options we have in the O2C. We will perform complete O2C cycle in our application, and where we create the sales order and how we uh, generate the auto invoice, how we create the receipt in our application. We will see, right? But first of all, we have to set the receivable setup, the account receivable setups in our application, right? So let's move to the application, right? So we have on this, right? So start from the, sorry, we have first this is our order management related setups, and in our last session we have already done the collect planning data, and this collect planning data is a jobs we have succeeded, right? And after that we have to run this refresh and start for order promising server, and at the end we have to disable the credit check for customer, right? We have already done this setups for the order management. From now we have to perform this account receivable setups. We have to receivable setups option configuration. We have to configure these options. We have to define the transaction types and the transaction source. The transaction source we have already defined by the Oracle, so we have used these sources, right? And we have create the auto accounting rule configuration, and the collector payment term and the payment cycle we have already created, the customer profile class and the reference data set and the customer address, and we have already done all the some few setups, and at the end we have to define the account receivable manager, the roles to assign to, we have to assign to this implementation user so that we can perform the order management related task, that is creating the sales order, creating the receipt in the sales order, right? Receivable, and creating the invoice in the receivable, right? And we have to assign BU to user roles and held up job, and we can say the receivable periods, right? So start from the receivable system option configuration, right? So go inside the project, setup and maintenance. Click on the task list, manage implementation project, search for our project SCM, SCM implementation project, right? Right, right. So we have to search, our task name is manage receivable system option, right? So let's search manage receivable system, manage receivable system option, right? Right. So we have the manage receivable system option. Click on this go to task. Now we can create, right? So this is already created in our system. You can see over here what is the billing to revenue, what is the accounting in our application. All right, system edit option. Right. So this is the split amount, day in the sales outstanding calculation, and this is our business unit, primary ledger, and the ledger currency over here, right? And we have the application rule set and discount basis. This is the counting, right? We have the tax account, we have the realized losses account, and these accounts are fetched from the RI sheet. We already know that. This is the transaction, right? In the transaction, what is the tax invoice printing option? You can see here, right? You can set as a total tax only and a sum of taxes, right? What is the document number generation level, right? You can set here, right? So this is the mandatory field, right? So when you want to work on the auto cycle, this value, the section value, is mandatory. We are going to map our inventory organization to the receivable application so that our sales order convert automatically in the invoice. We will see in our auto cycle how we convert our sales order into auto invoice generated, right? The invoice is generated automatically by the application. We will see. So we have to perform this transaction related information. We have to set over here, right? Right, we have the already created, no issue, cancel out. Now let's see, our next task is define transaction type. So transaction type is also the defined by the Oracle. Either you can create it or you can take the seeded. Let's see how we create the transaction type. So again, our implementation project, we have to search the transaction type, right? So we have the transaction, manage transaction type. Click on this, go to task, right? Let's click on search, right? So this is a seed provided by the Oracle procurement CLPUS1, right? So this is our debit memo. We have to set for the credit memo and the debit memo also. So let's create one transaction type so that you can easily identify our transaction type, right? So what is the transaction type set? So we have to set common over here, right? This is US1 business unit. US1 is our common and other one is for the customer, right? Put the name, you can identify you can set the legal entity over here. Suppose we have the data credit memo, right? So because first we have to create the credit memo in the transaction type. After that we have to set for the invoice, and the same process we can set this credit memo and the invoice in from this transaction type into the transaction source. So transaction source is already provided by the Oracle. You can set our transaction type in our transaction source so that we can easily take the transaction source, right? So copy this one. What is the transaction class? You can set over here. That is credit memo. Debit memo is already created by the system. What is the status? You can set that is open, and we have to set this state over here. And what is the creation sign? You can see this is a negative because credit memo is also in the negative. And, let's generate our bill. Yes, and we can see this application rule set, and this is open receivable, and we have the post to GL, right? And we have to set this natural application only. We have to mark right in this transaction type, right? And we have the reference count, right? So we have to create from here. Let's click on create. So our business unit is US1 business unit. US1 business unit, right? And you can set the revenue, receivable, and all the things. This is already defined in our previously task, that is the receivable, uh, which is our task configuration, receivable system configuration. We already set this revenue and receivable right there. So let's click on OK, right? So click on save and close. Now let's create one more for the auto invoice against sales order, right? So click on create. So the transaction type is in common set, right? What is the name? That is data invoice. What is the transaction line? That is invoice. Transaction status is open, and creation sign is positive sign, right? It is yes. And the credit memo type is, we have created data credit memo. Okay, right, no issue. Now let's add one reference account. Let's set US1 business unit. Okay, right. Click on save and close. Right, no issue. Now let's done. Now our define transaction source over here. So the transaction source is defined by the Oracle. So we have to set our type, transaction type, under the transaction source over here. So let's see how it is possible. So we have to search is transaction source. This is transaction source. Go to task, transaction source, and search by the name is DOO. DOO is nothing but we can search by blank is distributed order orchestration. I think this is not defined in this one. no issue. Let's we create. So whenever we create, we have to define our source over here, right? The standard transaction type, right? Credit transaction source we have to define over here, like what is the transaction source set, that is US1. Let's define our data transaction source. You can set the same as in the description over here. This is a start date, right? And this is the last transaction number. You can set either you can automatic transaction numbering, right? Start last date is suppose 1001, right? So this is our transaction type. Yes, so under the transaction standard transaction type, we have the invoice. So select the invoice, right? What is the credit transaction? This is provided by the, you can set our data is, first we have to create this one and I have to provide this one, right? Transaction source. Now let's click on save and close. Sorry, we have to define this one, save and close. So in this way you can create the transaction source over here. Now let's create the auto accounting rules configuration, right? Click done. Now let's search, sorry, auto accounting rule. So system will create the auto invoice in receivable based on the sales order. So system will generate the accounting entries for the sales invoice. This process is very important and very mandatory, right? Otherwise, auto invoice generation process will fail and you cannot create the invoice in the receivable based on the sales order information, right? So we have to set the auto accounting rules here. So click on rules, right? Manage auto accounting rules. Now let's click on this create. We have to set the business unit over here. This is US1 business unit. And what is the type you can set over here? Suppose we have the multiple account type. So for all these account, we have to set the accounting auto accounting rule, right? So we don't set any one of them as a auto accounting rules, system will fail, right? So we have to set the auto accounting rule for all the account display over here, like the auto accounting clearing or bills in receivable and the friend and the receivables and the revenue tax unbilling receivable and revenue, right? So we have to set for all the things, right? Suppose go with the one like auto invoice clearing, we go with the one, right? So we have already defined the account, so no issue, no issue, right? So go with the bills receivable, right? So for the bills receivable, we have the segment. We have the company, we have the account, and we have the cost center, product, and intercompany, right? So we have to provide the constant value for that, right? And suppose we have to select, and we have to set this value source, and this is the constant value, right? So what is the constant value? Suppose we define the 100 over here, right? 1000, sorry, 1000 over here. You can set for the department is the count for the 1000 and you can done. You have to set done and we can create another for the rest of this account type, right? We have to define the account auto accounting rule for all the type, otherwise we have to face the error in while creating the auto accounting invoice, right? Now let's move to our next task is create collector, create payment, right? So the create collector, and we have the payment term, statement cycle, and we have the customer profile class, reference data set, customer, and the customer address site, assign reference data set to the business unit. We have already done all the setups in our order management setups, right? So we have already completed these setups in the order management, so no need to worry about for the receivable, because they are the same for the receivable also, right? So start from the next is create remit to address. We have to set this remit to address. After that, the receivable activity, receipt class and methods, and the roles over here, right? So let's see the remit to address. So cancel out. So remit to address means the customer where he sent the payment, right? So we have to set. So the task name is remit to address. Click on this remit to address. This is remit to address, or we have already don't we have. We can search by country like United. Now let's create one. So what is remit to address set? We have to define the common set, that is US one. What is the country? United States. And the address line we have to define over here. Suppose we have the Tata remit to address, right? And we have to define the postal code over here, that is 09101, right? That is CTL, right? No issue. Now click on this save and close. So now we will receive the payment from the customer to this address, right? From which the country and the state we have to select over here. So now we have the site. First we have to search United States, right? So this is our address. Now you can define the site over here, right? What is the site? Like United States, right? Now click save and close. Done. So in this way we can create the remit to address. Now next one is receivable activities. So let's create. How to create? So go to the manage receivable activities, right? Go to the task, click on the task and click on this go to task, right? Right, so we have the US1 business unit, US1. Search for that if you have any. No, we don't have. Yes, we have. Right. Suppose we have the count like a bank charges, right? You can see when we expand it, click on this charges, right? So this is the business unit and we have the bank charges. So we have to set the GL account source and what is the rate code source, right? We have to set over here. Click on cancel. Now let's click on this create icon. So under US1 business unit, you can create on discount, right? Right. So to create the receipt method, we have to define the receivable activities, this receivable activity, right? So we have the two types of receivable activity. One is the earn account and second one is earn account, right? So what is the difference between the earn account and earned and earn account? So suppose we getting giving the payment term is net 30 to our customer, right? And your customer pay within the 10 days, then we give the 10% discount to a customer, and customer pay in within the 10 days. You provide the discount at the 10 days, and your payment term is net 30. So customer pay in 10 days, then he take the benefit of 10% discount. Then it is called earn account, right? Earn account, earn discount, sorry, earn discount. And whenever we talk about the earn and discount, it means suppose the customer will not pay in the 10 days, but he will pay at the 11th day, right? And still you want to give the discount to our customer, then this discount is called as unearned discount, right? So to track the earned discount and unearned discount in receivable application, we have to create the activities, right? So we have to create for the two. One is for earned discount and second one is unearned discount. I think we have already created in our, no issue. Let's create one more time, no issue. Let's define our account. The account is search as a on discount. The description values we have. Yes, we have the on premium. Click on that. So we have to earn discount, I think. Let me check one more times. Reset it. I think 56550. Sorry, we don't have the earn discount. We can check. Let's cancel out. So system is already defined the earn discount over here, and we have the earn discount, right? Ratio 7780 800. We can also create for our disable activity, no issue, cancel out. Now let's move to our next is let's create receipt class in method. So how we will create the receipt class in method? So manage receipt classes and methods. Click on this go to task. Right, we have already created some classes and methods. Right, suppose we have the check right directly and no remit, and we have the check progress we can set over here. So whenever we perform the O2 cycle, we have to take this check and check progress in our uh, receipt class and methods, right? Let's click on this check. Right, so this is the name, and for this we have to check details over here. You can see over here, and the same way whenever you create a new one and click on this create icon, we have to provide the name and we have to write the receipt method, right? Suppose we have the Tata receipt classes, right? Receipt classes manual, right? You can create, and we have the creation method is manual. You can set the remittance method is standard, right? And what is the clearance method, you can check over here. And what is the receipt method, you can select over here. So we have already the method like check, you can set over here, right? You can set over here what is the printed name and all the things you can provide over here. Suppose we have the Tata check, right? And Tata check is already right. We have the details over here, and we have the so whenever you get the payment from the customer in the form of check, so the check you want to deposit in which bank, so we have to define the bank over here. So this is remittance bank account, so create it. And what is the bank over here? Suppose we have the yes, Bank of America, right? And what is the account number, you can select. This is the account number. Based on the account number, the cash is created. And what is the receipt confirmation, you can set over here. Search, select, and done. You can set what is the account is done and the primary is done under the account, right? So in the same way we have to define all the account over here. And one thing is very important, this is earn a discount, and earn a discount is very important. So this is earn discount and this is earn discount, we have to set over here. Let's select our account, search. Okay, we have to set, because this is mandatory field, we have to set over here. So in this way we can provide the account combination we have to provide over here. Let's search for that, select the record and click OK. Right, what is the remittance? We have to define the remittance over here. You can set the remittance account over here. So suppose we have the search for that. We have the remittance account, right? Click OK, again OK, right? And we have the unpaid receipt. Select the record and done. So in this way we can set the remittance bank account over here, right? Click on save and close. So in this way we can create the receipt class and the methods in our application. And we have the next one is assign role to the user and assign view to the user role and run the LDAP job. So we have already done how to uh, define the roles to the user and how to assign the business unit to the user roles, the user roles, and how to perform the LDAP job so that we can synchronize our roles to these applications. And this is receivable periods, right? No issue. And so this is Oracle Fusion O2C cycle. So in our last next session, we will cover what is O2C cycle and how it perform in our application. We will see in our next session, right? So till the time we have already covered all the AR related setups and order management related setups. And tomorrow we will cover the O2C cycles and next the order management related topics like sales, return, and all that. So thanks for attending this session. Thank you so much.